All right, students. Hey, so as you can see from the sign behind me, I'm up here at my old alma mater. So today we're going to talk a little about budgeting for college. So I'm going to kind of have you guys walk and talk with me a little bit as we go around parts of my old alma mater. So this is State University of New York at New Paltz. That's where I went to school. And some things you guys may want to know about student budgeting. So first of all, whichever college you're going to, by now you probably already know whether you're going to be a commuter student or whether you're going to be a resident student. If you are going to be a commuter student, then you are going to need a car. Either one of your own or one that is being lent to you. Now, if you are a resident student, then you are going to be living in a residence hall. Now, I'm not sure if you can see it through here, are some of the residence halls over where I went to school. Now, at any college, you're going to have to see the Student Union building. Now, over here at New Paltz, Student Union building, it's right up here, this large glass pyramid. I'm hoping you guys can see right now. And that's where that's where you get your parking permit. That's where you will hear a lot of lectures from various, not professors, but visiting personnel. And that's also where a lot of the formal paperwork gets done. Your college will likely have a student union building as well. Depending on your school, it may be nearer or farther away from other buildings. Now, we're going to take a little walk here. Now, if you are in college, whether you are a commuter or you are a, or whether you commute by mass transit, or whether you commute, or whether you stay on campus, you're going to have to get accustomed to walking. Now, when I was there last time, of course, I wasn't walking around like this with what looks like a map on my face, but you'll adjust. We all will. So, if you are in the position in your life as a college student, you'll get used to figuring out the walkways around your campus. Now, some colleges are better equipped to the life and times of being a student than others. Like ours is pretty good. We got maps posted all over the place so you can see where it is you're going, and crosswalks and all that. Now, the reason I'm walking you up to where I'm walking you up now is this is a place I used to spend a lot of my beginnings and ends of days, let's put it that way, when I was about your age. So now I don't know how city colleges work, so for those of you going to college within the 5 boroughs, please take everything I'm about to say with budgeting with a grain of salt. But if you're commuting, you would go here if you are commuting via a car of your own, or, as you'll see up here, most campuses will have some sort of bus stop or will be located near some hub of mass transportation. Now over here, you can see the residence halls. Now, why did I bring you guys up here to show you all 3? Well, the kind of budgeting you're going to have to do for college is going to be affected entirely by which of these 3 you pick. If you choose to commute via automobile, then you're going to have to pay for a parking permit, as we talked about in the previous video. Or you're going to have to, or you might be joining with somebody else who commutes via automobile, and as such, you'll have to be ready to potentially help out with gas or something like that. Now, if you commute via mass transit, you won't have to deal with that, but you will have to budget in much as many of you do now, how much it's going to cost to come to and from school each day. Now, unlike what you do now, you're going to have a choice as college students. see, not all your classes are going to be back to back to back. So then your choice becomes, do I want to stay on campus in between classes? Or do I want to go home after one class and then come back after another? That's an option you may have to take a look at and decide what it is you want to do, what works best for you. Now, if you guys are still with me, now, let's say you're not really thinking about that life. Let's say your plan is you want to go out there and you want to actually stay at your college or your university. Sorry. If that's the case, you may find yourself in a residence hall, like the ones we have up here. Now, if you're staying in a residence hall, your budgeting's a little different because you're staying on campus. So you're not going to be having to deal with the expenses related to car or bus transportation. What you will have to deal with, though, is the cost of the dorms. Typically, at many universities, cost of dorming there is going to add at least another $5,000, $6,000, even $7,000 to your tuition just to use the dorms. Right? So you're going to be paying more just for the privilege of staying there with a roommate. So if that's what you'd like to do, that's fine. But take into account that's going to add an extra $5,000, $6,000, even $7,000 or more to your tuition every year. So it's expensive to do it. It may be part of the college experience, but it's expensive. Now, depending on the school you picked, that may be an option. Now, as you get older, you may decide at some point you want to live off campus. See, a lot of colleges will have rules. Like I know mine, the one you're looking at right now, a rule they had with us is that you are not allowed to, if you're a freshman, the only way you're allowed to live off the dorms is if you're a local. So if you live in the area, yeah, you don't have to live in the dorms. But if you are commuting from anywhere outside, if you are not living within a 30-mile radius of the school, then unfortunately you're going to be expected to actually to stay there. Now, once you're older, once you're outside your freshman year, then they will allow you to move off campus in most schools. So at that point, you do have opportunities. You know, at that point, you really have the chance to go, and you could live outside in the wider community. You could get an apartment, rent a room in a house, things like that, if you'd rather live off of the dorms and away from the campus. But if you do so, then that's going to be even more money. Like I'll tell you where I live. You know, I grew up in a college town. It's expensive. Room rentals around here tend to stay around $800, somewhere between $600 to $800, which means that typically your price for things such as a 1-2 bedroom apartment, expect to pay somewhere, you know, for a 1 bedroom, pay about $1,000 for a 1 bedroom apartment. $1,200, usually $1,400 for a 2 bedroom. You know, 3 bedroom, it's about $1,800 to $2,400, depending on where you are. Now, one thing you'll have to get used to is you got to decide where you're going to eat. Now, one of your options, every college is going to have a dining hall. So this is what you're looking at here. This is Peregrine Dining Hall. Formerly known as the Has, formerly known as Hasbrook, where I'm at. Fun fact, we went through a little bit of a naming controversy. All of these halls, actually, you're going to see here, if you're wondering why there are new name signs on otherwise old-looking buildings, fun little fact about my alma mater. When we first started out in the school, most of the buildings were named after old Huguenot families who lived in that settled the town. The town was settled by French Huguenots originally, not by the Dutch like the rest of upstate. Problem is, Huguenots tended to be slave owners. Well, that wasn't going to do in our more modern age as we've become more aware of issues of systemic racism. So as you'll see, most of the buildings have new banners on them because they have been renamed, usually based on local native tribes or local flora and fauna. So just to be aware of that. Now, that's just a little fun tidbit from you to me about my old alma mater, in case that's something you ever found interesting. So if you do see that at a university, just be aware sometimes they change the building names. No big deal. Unfortunately, while they were changing this particular one, I really do wish they took out the old popcorn ceilings with the asbestos. That would have been really lovely if they could have done that too, but you know, nothing's perfect. There are usually good many services that are provided on a campus that you may not have to. For example, Oasis Haven. This is call centers for things like issues related to relationship violence, domestic violence, survivors of sexual assault, things like that. On campus, there's posters for that. So these are mental health services that will be available at many campuses. I can't guarantee all. Now, if you look over there, you're going to see this building in the distance, and it kind of looks like a UFO. Now that, at my alma mater, that is the student, the health building. And the reason I showed you that one is just because if you are at many universities will have one. It's basically a built-in, now don't get it twisted, it's not like the nurse's office at our high school. They actually can and will perform like handing out medication, handing out all kinds of things. Because of that, it's a good place to go if you don't have a local practitioner that you're used to. So if you're going away to college, probably better to opt into that. Now, if you're staying in the area, I'd say stick with your medical practitioner who you usually work with. You know, try not to, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Now, we're just going to take a walk around here. I'm going to show you a few more things about budgeting on campus. Now, if you're staying on campus, one of the big decisions is, do I cook for myself? Do I dine at the dining hall or one of the campus restaurants? Or do I eat in town? And unfortunately, I've listed these often in order of ascending price. There are many meals you can cook on your own, and we're going to talk about that in the next video, that are much cheaper than you doing this on campus yourself. But it's going to cost you more money. Everything costs you less money if you're buying food, like from a supermarket, cooking it yourself. Dining hall is kind of in the middle, along with some of the campus restaurants. Most expensive will be eating out in town, but you'll usually be tempted to do so at least once or twice during your time here. So, now, there are lots of things you can do out here, as you can see. So, yeah. So, yeah. So we're gonna keep walking here. So again, as I was saying, now, again, wherever you're going to college, it may differ. I'm just using this for illustrative purposes. Now, I don't believe there's any, over here you can see there's different, some students will use bicycles. That's more your thing. That's fine. A lot of people use those to commute. Or just to get around on campus, because once you're inside the campus at many schools, you need a ways of getting to class quickly. So that may be something you may want to consider as part of your budget. Now, another interesting aspect of saving money whenever you're on a college campus is there often are on-campus activities. So, for example, your campus may have a theater department. It may have an art department, a music department. And it's not unheard of for these to actually put on shows. And in many cases, it's cheaper admission for you as a student than the rest of the community. So if you're looking for an inexpensive source of entertainment, this is certainly an option for you. So as we walk around my old alma mater, you see more residence halls. Now right over here, you'll see my old, this is a theater we used. Again, your college may be different, but now you get to see what this looks like. So if you do have a college with a theater, that can be a good source of budgeting out your money, saving you some money. You're not going into town for entertainment. You can go there, watch a show. It's usually much cheaper if you're a student. Now, if your school has an art department, well, actually, I forgot to show you guys something. Now, if your school has, there's a few other interesting things you may notice. Also, here's another shot of the theater, in case you found that interesting. This is the Parker Theater. Now, my college is a little artsy, so we had like 3 theaters. Another one is hidden inside of this building, which doubles as part of the arts department. You're passing the other art building, the fine arts building, on the other side of you. In case you wondered where I went to school, and before you ask, yes, I did wear a suit even then. All right, so let's see. So there's a couple more things I wanted to talk to you about in case you are trying to plan your college budgeting out. Now, another aspect of university budgeting is if you are an art student, so I'm showing you the arts building right now, you may have to pay fees for materials. Now, you'll notice here, there's a set of posters up here. This is the Dorsky. This is actually a Museum of Modern Art, the Samuel Dorsky Museum of Modern Art, and it's part of the campus. So if you attend a campus like this, you may have museums right on campus. You don't have to go anywhere, don't have to take any transportation. You can go see those. And again, exhibits are cheaper if you're a student. Now I'm going to show you the place where you save a lot of money and a lot of time as a student. It's where this place basically became my second home. Now I'm going to tell you a little secret about me. I did not exactly live the college experience, quote unquote. Most of my time in college was spent right here. This building right up here that you're about to see is the Sojourner Truth Library. And this is basically where I spent the better part of my life when I was at college. And I wish I could take you in there, but it's closed until further notice. I really do wish you guys could come inside. It's beautiful. And it's so if you are, but this building, libraries are a big source of savings for you in college, from book rent, from being able to borrow books, borrow films, get your printing done. Printing is cheap, usually like 5-10 cents a page, and you're given a printing budget as part of your tuition. And it's pretty easy stuff in that regard. So if you guys are ever going to a university, sincerely, the library is a good place to save money. Many times there'll be seminars in the library on how to do things such as, you know, applying for jobs, applying for building resumes. This is where they'll order books for you from other libraries. Now, it won't provide you with your textbooks. Those you'll have to buy yourself, and they are expensive. Always buy, or always rent used if you can help it. If not, best alternative is to rent new, then buy used. Buy new only as an absolute last resort. Now, if you are in a science building, like the science building over here, you will obviously have to deal with lab fees. I was a history major, I was spared most of that, so you guys are good there. Now, many campuses will have restaurants, so that's something to always keep in mind. So yeah, all of that. Let's see if there's anything I'm forgetting to tell you guys about working here. Let's see, what am I forgetting? Now, just be aware, sometimes your college will shift a little bit. Like, my school's almost constantly under reconstruction because, well, it kind of is what it is. So, sorry. Alrighty. So, hopefully that's all stuff you guys will find interesting for your budgeting purposes. Which one is the Kuykendall? So, yeah. I think that's, trying to think what else you guys would want to know. Okay. So, let's see the rest of the building here. So, for whichever college you guys go to, you're going to have, sometimes you'll have a second dining hall or a second restaurant on campus. This is Element 93 in Worcester. This is the engineering building, in case any of you want to know. If you're trying to budget your time, always make sure to know exactly where your faculty are going to be. Now, where I went, most of them tend to reside here in the Haggerty Administration Building. So always know that. So I think that's everything you guys would need to know budget-wise. Let me think here if there's anything you guys might find entertaining about that. So now you guys got to see the old alma mater. So I'm hoping you found some of this information at least vaguely useful. I don't know if you will. We'll discuss it further in class. As we walk away from parts of my alma mater today, there is one or two things I did want you guys to take a look at. You may be wondering why exactly there is what looks like a facade of a large rock on the side of the humanities building. Well, that's because, as I said before, my school is very artsy. So it is actually a visual art depiction, and I only know this because there's a plaque nearby it with a quote from Dr. King where it says, "We will hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope," or something to that effect. And that's why there's a large false rock sitting on the side of one of my college buildings. So I don't know if your college will have a visual depiction of a civil rights leader quote. I hope it does. If not, hey, you know, fun fact, this is where they keep the 3D printers, in case you guys ever wanted to know. Now we're approaching the back of the Kuykendall Science Building. As you can see, this is part of the biolab. So that's something you may find interesting. So I'm trying to remember now if there's anything else about budgeting you guys would want to know, besides just taking a walk here clearly around my campus. So I'm going to hang up on you guys for now, and we'll talk more later.